A quick note before we get into the episode. Oversharing is a podcast for entertainment purposes only. It is not a medical podcast and does not constitute medical or psychological advice. Always seek the advice of your physician or mental health professional. Hello and welcome back to Oversharing. I'm Jordana Abraham.
And I am Dr. Naomi Bernstein.
How's it going?
Going good. Fresh off a busy weekend. By the end of Sunday night, I was needing a little alone time. I think a lot of moms can relate where like, I need some alone time, but I feel a little sometimes like I still need to be a productive member of the household. So I went into the laundry room and there was this enormous pile of sheets and towels that needed to be folded. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to close the door. I like to play like when I want to relax, instrumental pop. That's like my
that's nice.
Yeah.
Like classical pop.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, classical pop. So I go in, I'm like, close the door. I'm like, I'm in here. I'm doing my part. You know, the kids, Brooks had a little friend over. So they're playing upstairs and I'm folding laundry. I'm trying to take some deep breaths. I just need a little decompress. The Spotify accounts, I don't know if you know, but like, because you know, obviously.
I share with Mike.
Yeah.
I share an account. Yeah.
They're linked. You and Mike probably don't have this, but I have a thing with the kids where like they're linked. So sometimes if we want to listen at the same time, we'll have these little battles where like they start playing and then what they want to play starts playing.
Oh, so you only have one account?
Yes. Like Jeff has his account. I have my account, but somehow I share with the kids. Like I would need to, I think, get them their own account.
You can have like a family plan account where you have multiple accounts on the same thing. But yeah, you need to like, I think there's like one that lets you have up to 4 or 5 or something.
I think we need to upgrade because I'm in there and I'm like breathing and I'm chilling and I'm folding my laundry and I'm listening to my instrumental pop. And all of a sudden it's like, do your balls hang low? Do they wobble to and fro? I'm like, can't I have a minute of peace?
How do we all find that song on Spotify?
It's like, it was just like the perfect song to pull me out of my
not zen moment.
Not zen moment. So I think we need to upgrade and I need to get him his own Spotify account so he can listen to his whatever he would like.
Yeah.
With his little friend upstairs.
And you should treat yourself to a little alone time manicure or something.
Yeah. I know.
You deserve it.
Sometimes I talk to my patients about this. Like don't laundry folding in a room with a door closed isn't self-care. So I need to practice what I preach sometimes. And you know, it's true, but it was just this funny moment of like, I'm sneaking in here for like, just to listen to my instrumental pop by myself.
Right. Yeah. And I understand not wanting to like get them all their own accounts. It seems kind of a pain in the ass, and
he doesn't listen to music often. I think he was just trying to make his friend laugh upstairs. And so then we had a battle. Cause then I'm like pressing my music again. And then it's coming back again. And then I'm pressing it again and it's coming. I won. I was in mode where I was like, I'm not going to lose this.
You're the one paying. Yeah. So you should.
So I won that and I continued on with my way. He doesn't listen to music that often, but,
right. Well, that's why I guess I would see not getting his own account. Where is he listening to it anyway? Does he have a phone?
He has an iPad.
Oh, you can play it on the iPad. Yeah. Got it.
But, so I continued and it is relaxing. There is something, there's actually research around that something like folding laundry or gardening or like doing something with your hands, like repetitive mode. It is very like I was in there. I was happy as a clam. It's nice and toasty in there. I was, just relaxing and folding it was a really nice moment.
I get that with dishes. I like doing the dishes. I find that it's like, I like the warm water running on my hands. Mm-hmm. I like the you can see the physical progress, kind of like the laundry thing where it's like the dish was in the sink and now it's gone. I'm like making progress.
Yeah, the pile got smaller and smaller. Totally. And I do think it's a good mindfulness exercise where when you're doing the dishes, if you're thinking like, oh my God, these dishes, and I just have to get them done so that I can, get to the next thing or be then it makes the process of doing the dishes feel miserable and torturous versus if you're like, oh, this is kind of a lovely little process of.
I get to do the dishes.
Yes, exactly. Today, for all of you out there that are listening, if you have something that you have to do, like doing the dishes or folding the laundry, just make the choice to change your mindset around it, and it will change that half hour of your life.
No, I like that. It sounds stupid to say I get to do the dishes, but I do remember like towards the end of my pregnancy, I kind of threw out my back and it was just like very hard to get up and just do things. And even like, I kind of even missed the chores aspect of it because I was like, I wish I could just get this done and I can't do it because it's just like very painful. And it's sort of take, even that like you get that with sickness or like you have a bad cold. That's the old joke about just breathing. You kind of take for granted. When you can breathe again, it's like you forget, but it's nice. You like it's nice to have gratitude for all the problems that you don't even know that you don't have.
Totally. And, I don't want to gloss over it. Like right now, you're out there, you're listening to this. What are you grateful for? What pain don't you have? What breathing in and out, you're not nauseous unless if you are, which I'm sorry, right. But you're not nauseous. You don't have a headache. Your back doesn't hurt. You're able to go for your walk this morning if you're walking. Like, don't let those little things pass you by. They all matter, the little things. So I'm glad we stumbled on this conversation because it's all that. If you can find gratitude in those little things, then every day is just going to be that much more satisfying. So,
all right, well, let's get into our emails. Thanks. You guys send some great emails. We appreciate it. Oversharing@betches.com. If you have an email with a question or a dilemma or something you heard or something you think we'd find interesting, email us at oversharing@betches.com. Or you can leave us a voicemail at 646-363-6294. As always, you can join one of Dr. Naomi's therapy groups. How do they do that?
Yeah, come find us, naomibernstein.com. We are about to start a little bit of a physical challenge, which is really nice. There's always that bit about we've talked about that part of your brain that when you do things you don't want to do, there's a literal area of your brain that grows and changes when you are uncomfortable. So we do sometimes start with that low-hanging fruit, just doing things that are slightly uncomfortable, which then helps you learn to tolerate the larger bits that are uncomfortable, which are the things that we talk about in here, the things that you write in about, the things that are really uncomfortable. So yeah, we work on that. We're going to start working on that in the group, and we kind of do these things all together as a group, support each other. So if this is something that sounds interesting to you, come join us, naomibernstein.com.
The first task of the group is to go to Naomi's house and fold all her laundry. It makes you uncomfortable.
And then listen to Do Your Balls Hang Low on repeat.
Yes. I have to listen to that one. I haven't heard it yet. Let's do some emails. I'll read our first overshare. Hi, ladies. I love the show. I'm writing with a kind of bizarre relationship dynamic that I haven't heard discussed before. I think it's called a parasocial relationship, but I might be using that wrong. For background, a couple of years ago, I had a rare form of pregnancy loss called a molar pregnancy. Mine turned into gestational cancer. I found an incredible Facebook group for women in my situation who understood what I was going through, and I received so much love and support there. One woman in particular became my molar pregnancy sister, and we became very, very close through the process. She lives in Canada. I'm from the US. We have never met or spoken. We communicated via text all day, every day for several months. As odd as it sounds, I would count her as one of my closest friends. I can't imagine this part of my life without her. I got pregnant with my now 9-month-old baby, and she also got pregnant and had her baby a few months ago. I left the Facebook support group as soon as I got pregnant, since I realized it wasn't healthy for me to continue there. This friend and I stayed in close text contact. I started pulling back from the friendship in the last trimester of my pregnancy about a year ago. I just wanted to be in the reality of my life and move on from my miscarriage. I eventually deleted all social media and have been loving life as a social media-free mom. My dilemma is that she still texts me regularly and I don't know how to handle it. I experience a physical stomach drop feeling when I see a text from her. I feel guilty that I never initiate the text conversation, and my recent tendency is just not to respond. When I do respond, she asks me open-ended questions, and I feel obligated to send long responses updating her since the last time we talked. For example, I left her last 3 messages unanswered. Then this morning, she sent me a cute graphic about being a mom and how it made her think of me. I responded with something like, that does remind me of me and my baby. To which she responded, how are you? Fill me in. Then the next day, she sent a photo of her son with the message, my rainbow baby. Stomach drop. I haven't responded to either. I feel guilty not responding or being inauthentic, but I also don't want to spend my time typing out a multi-paragraph text explaining my weekend and open a conversation to hear all about hers. And somehow it always comes back to, can you believe how far we've come? Which I understand is nice, but can my baby just like be my baby, not my rainbow or molar miracle? She is so kind and I feel harsh cutting her off. Do you have any advice for how to gracefully handle this cyber text friendship that seems to have run its course? Do I just never answer and sever the relationship? That makes me sad. Any advice is greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. Trauma bonded and ready to move on. I like this email a lot because I think it kind of shows the different way that people deal with traumatic experiences. I think for some reason what comes to mind is like Holocaust survivors or something, and there's like certain survivors who kind of like want to talk about it, want to tell the story, want to like talk about what happened to them. And there's certain people you hear who like never want to mention it again. And they both make sense to me. I think I could understand both of those like reactions.
Totally. It's so funny you mentioned that. I just finished reading. I think Mom gifted all of us that book, The Little Liar. Did you read that?
Did she give it to you in Texas or something?
Yes.
I didn't get it. I'm sure I'm going to see her in Florida next week. I'm sure I'll get my copy.
Yes. But it's really good. And it's just about that. It's like all these Holocaust survivors and their stories are all intertwined and they all deal with it very differently. And one of them like immerses himself in it. And one of them is kind of like, all right, I just want to literally create a new identity and move on and pretend that that wasn't even me. I literally have like 3 copies in my house. So at first I was like, this is really annoying that Mom's like, she's giving in my own household, she's giving out multiple copies, but it was really good. Highly recommend it. The Little Liar. But yeah, I definitely agree with you that sometimes you have this traumatic bond with someone, but that doesn't also mean that your aftermath process is going to be the same. So I agree with you that I think that's what's happening here is that their paths are now diverging.
I had a very similar kind of post-fertility experience. There was another woman who's like in my area who also had, she also has a baby born via surrogate and a baby that she was pregnant, like her kids are a few months apart for like the very similar reason as me.
And you met her online.
I sort of knew of her, like she was like a friend of someone. And I had actually reached out to her like a while, like while I was still going through it to just like kind of see what her experience was and pick her brain. And now that I have these babies, she had like reached out to me and she was like, oh, I can like add you to like the group text of all the other twibbling moms. And we like talk about all this stuff and I can add you to the group text. And, like there's like all these like things that they can help you with in raising these twiblings. And in my mind, I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to do that. Like, I don't know if I want to like, especially like the girls are like 3 weeks apart. So I'm kind of like, I'd rather just like pretend they're twins.
Yeah. Join the twins group or whatever.
Right. And not like double down on the story or like let it, you know what I mean? Like move on from like that part and not talk about that part so much anymore just because like I want to feel like I've moved on from that stage of my life.
Right. Right.
Which is similar to the writer.
Right.
But I can understand why someone would feel like a sense of community or want someone to bond with over that experience.
Do you feel the same way around like the rainbow baby thing?
I like thinking of the last experience and then it makes me feel so grateful to be where I am. And I do have those moments of, I can't believe I'm here right now. Like I've gotten to this point. I don't know if I need like a community around it or if I want to talk to someone else about it. It's more like a fleeting thought I might have.
So it sounds like almost when you're in it is when the community feels much more important. Once you're kind of on the other side, you're like, okay, I no longer, this doesn't feel as important anymore. Or it almost feels maybe like you want
stuck in the past.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. When I think like the goal in going through it was to just to have a more quote unquote normal experience, or like to get the outcome that you wanted. And then once you have the outcome, I'm kind of like, I'd like to just live life in that outcome and not be like living in the past by going through repeating the story again.
Right. Right. And then what it sounds like, which I get, right? Again, that's your part of it. But I think the trouble then that the listener is having is now she's like, I feel maybe like I've kind of, and I don't think she should feel this way. It's just seasons, right? Seasons of friendships. But like, did I kind of use this person? And now that I no longer need her, now I'm kind of like discarding her because she served a purpose for a season. And now I don't need her anymore. So I'm kind of like, thanks for that. Like you were my best friend for 3 years or however long I went through it. And now I'm ready to move on, which makes sense because it's not like they were getting lunch or they were in person or
even spoke on the phone.
Right.
She's never even heard her voice.
Or like their kids aren't going to like play together. The only thing that they really did was bond on this one issue. It's not like they played pickleball. Like there's nothing more to it. So it does make sense. How she feels makes perfect sense. I think this is a matter, they've been through so much and they've been so deep and intense with each other that I think I wouldn't just ghost this person or like do a slow fade. I think at least maybe an email if you can't handle, I guess it would be an email because they haven't spoken on the phone.
Or it'd be weird to have the first spoken conversation to be
like the end. But yeah, maybe like a long text or an email just saying all this, like I will never forget you. You were, a huge part of what got me through one of the hardest, if not the hardest things that I've ever been through in my life. I will never forget you. But the truth is that talking to you now really does bring me back to a place that makes my stomach drop. And it does remind me a little bit of, or a lot of one of the worst parts in my life. And, thinking of, whenever I talk to you and we say things like, the molar miracle and rainbow baby and all of that, it just pulls me out of this dreamlike life that I'm living where I'm just very present and in the moment. And I will forever be grateful for the relationship and the friendship that we had. But, I think it's run its course and I would like to keep in touch every now and then and see how you're doing, and I'm sure it sounds like she would probably be happy to a couple of times a year, get photos, check in, but not to the extent that they were.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like they used to text, she said, all day, like every day, which is a lot for someone you've never met. It's a lot. I don't text anyone that much.
Yeah. So it has to back off from that. And I think it has to be just kind of like you were, now you're just somebody that I used to know in a way that like, I'll never forget you. But that is really hard. And, even part of what we do in our group, and it reminds me a lot of that because people come into group therapy a lot when they are feeling lonely or needing community. And then there's a point that they get to where they're kind of like, okay, I'm feeling like my regular life is very full and I'm at a point where I don't need this as much anymore. And one of the rules that we have in group is that there's no ghosting and there's no slow fade. Like you have to come in for one last session and kind of have the closure conversation and say goodbye.
Well, just like with the therapist.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's the beauty of therapy is that it's like not personal. And, if she instead of talking to this person, she'd been seeing a therapist,
right?
She could, there's like a more transactional nature to it.
It does feel a little different than just your one-on-one, like I'm ending therapy because it is like kind of these friendships that are formed like between group members. So it does feel a little bit more like you're ending a relationship than you're ending your therapy, which is just good practice, I think, for having these types of conversations where you're like, I'm always going to kind of want to know. It's hard. I want to know what's going on with you, but it's not going to be every single week. And I'm going to have to sit in the discomfort of like, I'm not going to know what's going on with you. And that's hard. Or like, maybe I'm going to miss you a little bit and that's hard. But I also know in some ways that this is the best thing for me moving forward. So I know that this is uncomfy and it's hard. And I'm not saying this is going to be an easy conversation, but I think you need to just like lay it out there.
I agree. And then you won't feel guilty, especially if you do it in like a kind, nice way. And you won't have that stomach drop feeling. It'll be like a tougher conversation that'll save you a lot of little like little feelings of intensity.
This isn't like you're breaking up with a guy who gave you the ick. Like there's so much nice, beautiful, meaningful stuff that you can say in there. Like you got me through one of the hardest times in my life and I'll never forget you. Like that. There's good stuff in there that you can say with your closure conversation. And it's also not, I'm never want to talk to you again, but like, I need to back off of this because it just reminds me of a really hard time in my life and I want to move on. And there's no denying that this friendship is completely associated with this time period. That's just
that's how you met.
Yeah.
No, that's a great point. And listen, if she gets mad, you don't have to run into her anywhere. That's the beauty of these kinds of conversations is like, the worst case scenario is like she doesn't take it well. And if you knew you were being kind and honest and whatever, like you're not going to see her.
You know you're doing the right thing by not ghosting her or slow fading her. You know you're doing the right thing. So no matter what her reaction is, you can stand steady on that.
Let us know if you do that and what the text was and how the response was.
Oh, would love that. Please, if you send it to us and we'll take the fall if it doesn't go well.
For sure.
We told you to do it.
Assuming you listened correctly. Okay. Let's do a Betch assist. You want to read this one?
Hi, Dr. Naomi and Jordana. I have a triggered scenario for you. Well, we're using it as a Betch assist.
A Betch assist, yes. I thought it was more of a Betch assist personally. Okay.
So it will be my first Mother's Day, and I told my husband he better do something / get me something nice because he didn't get me a birthday present or a Christmas present or Valentine's present this year. LOL.
LOL.
Yeah. And a couple of weeks ago, he said that he got me something and that I was going to like it. I also thought he was going to be working Mother's Day weekend because he usually works 2 weekends a month for his job. And we already knew he was going to be on vacation the 2 weekends after Mother's Day. So I figured he was going to be working. He also didn't have his schedule yet to confirm the weekend he was working. At the end of March, I made plans with the women in my family to go to a sports game in our city and bring my daughter. We already bought the tickets. I don't know if I specifically mentioned to him that I already had these plans, but I do know that I know we were talking about it in front of him last weekend because we were talking about the section that our seats were in. Then today he texted me and said, don't make Mother's Day plans because I have something we're doing that has to do with my present. I told him I was going to the sports game with my family because I assumed he was working. And couldn't we do something on Saturday instead if he wasn't working? And he said no, that I needed to cancel the game. I said that we had already bought the tickets and my family was looking forward to going to the game with our baby. I do feel like it's sort of my fault because I didn't put it in our shared calendar because I figured he was working anyway. So why did it matter to him what I was doing? Part of me thinks that whatever he planned won't be as fun as the game, and I don't want to cancel the game. I also don't want to let the other members of my family down just because he procrastinated his plans. I genuinely feel like my family will be mad at me if I cancel, especially because I'm the one who suggested we go to the game. Am I right to be triggered by this whole thing? Aren't I supposed to be the one having a stress-free Mother's Day? If my husband cancels his thing, I'm worried he won't ever plan anything nice for me again since he got burned this time. Thanks so much.
This is what I like to call like awkward gift giving dynamic.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it works. Couples have there's like awkward texting dynamic. There's awkward, like there's ways that you mesh. There's awkward sexual dynamic. They have an awkward gifting dynamic. It's like not flowing. Like sometimes it flows, sometimes it doesn't. They don't do things in a way that like really meshes with their individual selves, I would say.
No. Well, also, I mean, the fact that he got her nothing for Christmas and was it her birthday too?
Her birthday, Valentine's Day, and Christmas. That's weird.
That's a lot of misses.
Not even something small. Like
that's a lot of non-gifts. And then,
well, if you have to say you better get me a Mother's Day gift, that means like the gift again, the gift giving is not working in the relationship, whatever.
Something is off. He's trying to do like a surprise, but the surprise isn't just the gift. The surprise is like the coordination. Day. Right. Like she's got to hold the whole day. So yeah, I think we need to take the element of surprise out of it because that's not helping.
Yeah, a surprise is for someone who's good at giving gifts. Yes. I think like if you're that's like a level 3 gift giving activity. If you're not like a great planner gift giver, you can't do a surprise. That's not first timers situation.
Yes, he's got to say, "Hey, here's my idea for Mother's Day." Like you said, there's an awkward dynamic here. I missed 3 occasions. You're clearly pissed. You've asked for this Mother's Day. Here's my idea. I do agree with her that like it's her Mother's Day. I think she should be able to choose what she wants to do. So we need to get it out on the table. What's his idea? And she needs to like be able to see what the options are in front of her so she could make a choice. I do agree. She said this in the email and I think she's right. It was her fault for just assuming that he was going to be removed from the Mother's Day plans without confirming that. I don't know why she didn't just say, "Hey, I'm buying tickets to this game. Just want to make sure you're not going to be around," before she bought the tickets. Seems to be a like something in the like
that's fair. Yeah, I mean, she says that. Yeah,
their husband and wife. Like she could just text him and be like, "Hey, buying tickets to a game. Should I get you one?"
I guess it was all the women, so he wasn't invited. She says it was like all the women in her family.
Right. Wouldn't have been coming anyway.
Or she could have said...
Or just let him know, this is what I'm doing on Mother's Day.
I almost think she purposely didn't do that just to be like, and I knew you weren't going to plan anything anyway, so I did this thing. Like, I do think there's like some tension around the gift giving or the
days.
Yes, these days, which isn't... I could see, like, I think she has a right to be irritated that he's not putting any effort into the birthday or the thing. And then her being like, her almost wanting to like test him with this thing and like make this backup plan because she knew it the whole time that he wasn't gonna.
Yep, that's exactly what it is. And then he comes out of the woodwork with a plan. And now she's like, okay, now on the 5th try, you figured it out and kind of ruined my plans. And I'm supposed to be so thankful.
And I can understand why she's like, if I don't cancel the game, he's just never going to try again because he already doesn't try.
And she's probably right about that.
Yeah. But I don't think that would be right on his behalf because I don't think he also didn't really do this correctly.
I think similar to our last email, I think this is a case where we just need some more open communication. And would it be great if it came from him? Yeah. She's the one writing in. I think it needs to come from her. I think it needs to be like a vulnerable communication where she says, you know, my birthday, Valentine's, Christmas, it really left me feeling hurt and kind of uncared for, that you didn't, you know, get me anything or make any effort. So I was protecting myself this year by making these plans and assuming that you weren't going to be part of Mother's Day, especially with the work schedules and all that, which I understand. So I did go ahead and make these plans, and I would love it if in the future you would continue to try to do this. So I really don't want to discourage you. But I'm also feeling like I'm stuck now in this pickle because I've made these plans and I want to have a great Mother's Day. And now I'm feeling a little stressed. I could use your help to help me kind of figure this out. I don't want to disappoint you. I don't want to disappoint them. I am really happy that you're putting an effort into this. It does make me feel really loved, but I'm kind of stuck now and I'm not sure what to do. Maybe you could just tell me what you have planned so it can make it easier for me to kind of figure out what the next move is.
And it's funny because she's like, I don't think whatever he has planned is more fun than what I'm doing. So she doesn't really trust him. And I think like maybe again, I feel like there's a lot of tests that he keeps failing, which again, I don't think is her fault, but I would maybe be like, these are the kind of things that I would appreciate on a birthday or Mother's Day or whatever, like to have XYZ part of it, whether it's like, I always love a really nice meal out, or I really want a gift that shows that you've thought of me. Like, lay it out for him. It's annoying that you're married and he hasn't gotten it yet. I will again validate that, but
I wonder if that's happened, which is why she thinks that's like going to happen again. If something happened there, that I agree with you. There's like an awkward gift giving something that's going on. Talking about it is the best way to kind of move forward and be like you said, make it very clear what you want. And if you're in a hard position like you are, he's your person. Like, let him help you and communicate about it. I would like a follow-up on this one too. I want to know what his idea is. You can't be in two places at one time. And I do think you have a leg to stand on with like, I have been let down a bunch of times. So he does probably need to take some ownership over, I could see why you thought I wasn't going to really do anything because I didn't do anything many times before. That makes sense that he would own that and maybe just say, I don't want to have to put you in the position where you have to cancel on your family on a plan that you initiated. And I could see why she initiated it because she's like, I don't want if I were to have to sit home with no plans on Mother's Day while you're working, I would end up being really angry with you. And then it would be bad for our relationship. So in some ways, it's in your best interest that I went ahead and made plans on Mother's Day.
I agree with you. Honest, vulnerable conversation. And I think you could come up with the solution together and then discuss maybe ways to avoid this going forward. And I think a lot of that would be like, what are your expectations for these big days for both of you? And how can you like align what you expect to be getting and giving and what he expects to be doing in that scenario?
Yeah. Mother's Day. We should talk about Mother's Day because this is going to be your first Mother's Day. Mother's Day is an interesting one because there's like mothers and you want to break, but then you want to be with your kids. And then there's the mother-in-law and you want to spend time with her. And
yeah,
Mother's Day is a tricky one.
No, I agree. I mean, I got ahead of this already. Okay. We're recording this like towards the end of April. So we're recording this a little early, but I don't like to test because I would prefer to make my expectations known than to get to the day and have him fail the test.
Yeah, it's better for your relationship. Yeah.
Yeah. I've said, I think a week or two ago, I said, Mother's Day is May 10th. Would love for you to make a reservation or do something. Let me know what we're going to be doing. And if you want to bring your parents, if you want your parents to come, I'm cool with that. So you can invite them or not invite them. That's up to you. But, let me know what the plan is.
Right. Okay. That's easy enough.
A week later, he had a reservation. He made it, included his parents, and it was all good.
Okay. So you don't want like a break or like a massage or like alone time. You just want a nice dinner with everyone or not.
Or they're like a little young to feel like I'm ready for like a full break for, I don't know if I want to do that to him.
Yeah.
But like,
enough.
Maybe he does the morning that I usually do or something,
right.
The morning.
Like a little sleep in.
I don't know. That part I haven't really maybe I should get more in line with that. But he would be pretty good at like, if I was like, can you do these things because it's my day?
Right.
He would, I think, be okay with that. I can't ask for too much. Otherwise the stakes are too high for Father's Day.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. That's my theory on like, if someone's ever like, oh, this person didn't respond to my text and they get upset or this person like forgot my birthday. I'm like, well, then if you ever forget their birthday or you don't respond to their text, like
you're off the hook. Yeah. That's why I don't want him doing something too elaborate.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think it's good to like, it seems again, it's like less romantic to be like, here are my expectations.
Yes.
Which you don't have to phrase it like that, but
I've made you a spreadsheet. Right. Column A is morning.
But here's the thing. I know Mother's Day reservations are hard to get. It's a very busy day. So I would rather, I'm a more logical person. I think I would rather set the expectations, do the reminder, tell him, then get to the day and test him and then him fail. And then I'm irritated for the whole day.